Hello, everybody. My name's Dustin.
And I'm Jenna.
And this is Reptile Dysfunction. And we're just hanging out. This is not the animal today, right?
Good, I don't know a lot about them.
The most terrifying animal of all. But we thought this was a cool idea. I kind of have regrets. I don't know if this is working.
No, I think we look really cool, actually.
All right.
This is a good way to
Why
start.
don't we hand off this animal and be prepared
We're
for...
going to have some other ones.
Take off the shades.
Oh.
Okay. And get serious. Let's get serious for a minute, okay?
All right.
We got an exciting animal. We have two animals today, actually, so it's even more exciting. But without further ado, let's bring out these animals.
Let's bring them out.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Oh, what do we have here, Jenna?
Oh, so they're actually described as multiple names. Mm-hmm. You may know them as the monkey-tail skink, the prehensile-tailed skink.
Solomon Island Skink.
Solomon Island Skink is pretty much their more common term. Carusha. We don't really know exactly if they're what's called Carusha zebrata or Carusha Alfred Schmidti. There's a lot of islands where they're from, and it seems like there's not a really good consensus of what is what based on size, coloration, things like that.
Yeah, so these are from Australia, off the coast of Australia,
yeah.
Northeast. There's a bunch of islands there called the Solomon Islands, and they're pretty scattered throughout those, right? They're I believe the only skink from those islands too. I don't believe there's any other skink.
I don't believe that there's any other skink, but they are also, if not the largest, one of the largest skinks in the world.
Yeah, I believe they're the largest.
Yeah.
I believe they are. They get pretty big. They can get a couple pounds, I think, when they're full grown. The females can get pretty big. They're probably, I think, in my top 10 favorite reptiles, I think, because they're just so cool. You can really talk about them a lot. Like, I feel like you could just keep rambling on because they're just so cool. They're one of those cool reptiles. And they're so unique because you think of skinks, you think of something that lives on the ground or underneath the ground. These actually live high up in the trees. They're up in the canopy. And the name monkey-tailed skink, they actually kind of live a monkey life. They are basically the monkeys of that island. There's no primates. Did you know that?
I did not know that, actually.
No. So these are like
good for them.
Literally filling that niche that monkeys do. They're going to be living up in the trees, eating a lot of different plants. So that is also a thing unique about them is they are the only skink that eats, that is an herbivore. Kind of crazy.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, so skinks are eating worms and snails and things like that, living on the ground or underneath it. These are arboreal, and they are going to be eating plants. So it's pretty cool.
One of the most interesting things about them, about their diet, is they eat something that I don't know of any other animal that can safely eat this, is pothos. Different species of pothos that occur on the island. It's considered very high in what's called calcium oxalate, which I learned has to do with like kidney stones and stuff. So probably a lot of animals can't handle that. These guys, it's probably one of their favorite things to munch on. They obviously love fruits and vegetables, but you give them some pothos, they'll crush it right away.
Yeah, just strictly plants, fruits. They'll even eat the stems. They'll eat
everything. Like
they're just gonna be chowing out up in the trees all the time. They did some research and they discovered they don't move around a whole lot. And what they're famous for in particular is the family dynamic, right?
Can I throw a word at you?
Go ahead.
What does circulus mean to you?
The opposite of asquaricus. Okay, go ahead.
So a circulus, I learned this actually. It's actually defined specifically for reptiles. So it is a rare grouping of reptiles that actually form these incredible bonds. And even adults that are unrelated to babies will take care of babies among these groups of 20 or plus sometimes. And sometimes babies are adopted in. You don't see this type of behavior a lot in reptiles. You see it in crocodilians. In some lizards, crocodile skinks are a really big one.
Interesting.
But it's called a circulus.
Circulus. They have their own unique name for what they do. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And you don't think of reptiles being social at all.
No.
And the fact that they're going to be living in groups, 20 plus lizards living in the same tree, all getting along, it's pretty cool. Yeah. And they actually have some parental care too, right? So the moms, when the babies are born, they're about half the size of the female, which is just truly like this huge.
This is only 1.5 years old, which honestly is not too far from what a baby is.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's like what I read. It's like a mom giving birth to a 6-year-old.
Whoa.
Which, Adrian?
No, thanks.
Thanks.
Luckily, Sam's not that size.
No, yeah. Yeah, so that's amazing, and they usually just have one, right? But occasionally you'll see twins and even triplets. That's even rarer. But usually they just put all this effort, all this energy into raising up that baby, and it can live with a group for over a year.
Over a year, and they've actually recorded them living through multiple births. So they don't always kick them out, but sometimes they do if it gets a little bit too long.
And we can talk about their coloration a little bit too. So they all have a very different pattern. Light greens, grays, browns even. Obviously you need that good camouflage up there. They have to watch out for hawks, bird of prey, and maybe some snakes too when they're smaller. They don't have a lot of natural predators on the island. Obviously, habitat loss is always what's going to affect a lot of these reptiles and animals here.
Hunting
this one's
too.
wild. If you're wondering why I'm wearing gloves, this one's, I'm not a pansy. This one's just a lot more
I
feral.
gave Dustin the mean one.
And I'm waiting for it to defecate all over me. So speaking of poop, they have a unique thing that they do. It's called coprophagy, which isn't just a word I was called in high school, but it's more, they like to eat poop, And so that's rare, right? Animals, get yourself together here, come on. They like to eat poop, which is very unique and very weird. Not only their poop, but other species' poops too. Whoa! Poops too. And so the reason they do that, it's believed, is that they get specific enzymes from the feces, and it helps them break down these really tough to eat plants. So it's super. Are you crying, right?
I think my mascara was running a little bit. It made me laugh.
Yeah, so that's really unique too, right? That's like crazy that they would do that and like eat each other's poop and stuff.
Yeah, you see some mammals doing it. I feel like you don't see that a lot in reptiles. So it's just another thing that sets these guys apart from other reptiles that I've had experience with. It's kind of a really unique thing.
Yeah. Anything else?
Well, so one interesting thing is kind of taking into consideration what other reptiles these guys are related to. Probably the most common are blue-tongued skinks. They're also very closely related to what's called the Agurnia group, which are another Australian species of skink on the mainland. They kind of split apart during I learned how to pronounce this word, Oligocene. Oh, crap. Well, now I don't think I will. Oligocene era. That's right. Pretty much when the Solomon Islands, the whole group of islands actually started to split. So that's kind of when we think that they diverged from the other animals and kind of learned how to adapt in their own little habitat, which is kind of cool. So you can see some similarities, I think, based on the face with blue-tongued skinks.
Yeah.
But they very obviously grew to be very different based on simply the type of niche or habitat that they're hanging out in.
This is a species you'd want to get bitten by, like an adult female, say? Would that be a pleasant experience, John?
Not at all.
No.
I think that's why it's a good thing you're holding or wearing a glove.
Yes.
They have really small teeth, but you can really see their jaws working when they're trying to tear off pieces of fruit, leaves, things like that. It would not be a fun bite. And we've even seen some x-rays of these guys, and you can just see how much is going on back here muscle-wise.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the top of their head, you can see.
It's crazy.
All muscle. They kind of eat by almost like a scissor in a way. They're just using those tiny teeth to just bite in. They can eat really tough plants. And a lot of studies, or at least one study I saw, looked into their tongue flicking and trying to find out what plants are the preferred plants, and so they can actually their favorite plants, they react more, and they do tongue flick a lot more too, which makes sense. Now he's really easygoing.
I know. I think by the end of this, we're gonna have a very docile lizard.
But
it must be helpful for them too. I'm sure where they're from, there are a lot of toxic plants. But it makes you wonder what they can and can't stomach. If they can have pothos, they can probably stomach a lot of things. I don't know what she's
Is pothos native to the Solomon Islands? I thought it was.
No, it's
I
almost
thought it
like
was Asian.
I feel like it just grows everywhere. There's different species of it.
I think it's invasive. Oh.
Yeah. So they were talking about. I don't know the exact species name. It starts with an E, but it's part of the pothos group, and she just wants to get up here, I think. But I think they occur all around the world, really.
Okay.
And they can kind of handle all of it.
Nice.
Did we talk about the tail yet? I think that's one of the biggest things.
We should probably talk about
We should probably talk about the tail.
Prehensile-tailed skink, right? So it's in the name. They're very unique. They're I think the only skink that is prehensile. There's some salamanders that have prehensile tails. There's
Yes.
even like the debate whether like alligator snapping turtles have some movement on their tails and they can use that to climb or to kind of perch themselves underwater. But these are very famous for their prehensile tails and allows them to move very easily up in the trees. It's not defensive. They don't smack anything with it, even though that'd be cool.
It would be
They have a lot of muscles. They're able to support their body weight, and it's just a really cool adaptation that these guys have.
Yeah, I think when it comes to defending themselves, they have what's called, I was reading about it, it's like a hydrostatic body, like state of body change. It's kind of weird. Only them and I guess blue-tongued skinks are known to have it. You know, blue-tongued skinks, the iconic, showing the tongue and being all scary. I've never seen any of these guys do something like that, but you can really see them get really big.
Puff up a little bit.
Yeah, they puff up and they try to look really scary. They'll open their mouths a little bit. But that's kind of their defensive thing, and obviously a bite. Another reason Dustin is wearing a glove is these guys typically have very sharp nails.
Very, very sharp.
They'll cut you really easy. For whatever reason, hers are pretty good. I don't know why. Maybe she's lighter. I don't know. I don't know why that would
I've been
mean anything.
clawed up by them before. It's crazy how strong they are, and all the fingers and everything. It's hard to avoid when you're holding them.
Yeah.
They'll definitely scratch the crap out of you. But yeah, pretty cool lizards, right?
Pretty cool lizards.
Well, we learned a lot about the Solomon Island skink, but I think we got to go. Thank you very much for watching this episode of Reptile Dysfunction. Again, my name's Dustin.
And I'm Jenna.
Take care. And we're back. Hey, Jenna.
Hey.
Well, so I had this idea, okay?
All right.
I like comedy bits. I like this to be fun, lighthearted. Happen to have a son, the boy was here. And so there's some milk around the house, And I was thinking, wouldn't that be fun if we did a little Russian roulette with milk and some breast milk in there too? And we kind of would you be on board with this?
Sure.
Adrian?
Nope.
All right. Well, write in the comments if you think we should do it on the next episode. But take care.
It was a good try.
Yeah. What are you going to do?
What do you do?
All right.